Now let's go into the file that I provided for you and look back at our credenza. And here we are going to first make sure that it's all mapped properly, which it is not. So let's make sure and do that first. It's got the same material on it as the wood table material that we just looked at. So I'm going to create our own material. It might be based on that same wood grain map, but I don't want it to be the exact same material. So let's take a look at it. First of all, we got to get it all mapped properly. So aside from unwrapping this entirely, you can just kind of do a cheat unwrap by doing UVW map modifiers on just certain elements and then collapsing them into your poly. So if I put a UVW map on that now and do a box, you can see it through the red there. See, do we want it to go that way? No, I think we want it to go that way. Make sure it fits onto there, like that. So align it on the z-axis and fit it, and you can see my gizmo right there. Okay, so that's how it's mapping onto there. If I rotated this gizmo, it would look like that, which would actually be kind of cool. If I had those doors like that. Tempting. And then make the other one the opposite way. Let's do that just for fun. Convert to edit poly, and that is now burned into there. Now if I select just this other door, do the same thing again, but reverse it. Go into the sub-object mode, gizmo. Make sure it's selected, rotate it 45. And then while you're selected in sub-object mode, convert to edit poly again. Cool. Okay, these can all be mapped together probably. Just put a box modifier on that. Now you could go in and turning off real world there, making it just fit to those three. You could go in and unwrap all of this. That'd be considerably harder and a lot more work than what we're doing right here. As long as the box map can work. On an organic piece of furniture, this wouldn't work. You'd have to still go in and unwrap. But with this boxy shaped buffet, we can do it. So let's select this element. This one might be kind of hard. Let's see what we get with just a box modifier. No real world. So there on those edges here, it's not working. Everywhere else, no, I want the grain going the other way, like that. Let's fit it to the object. So that gizmo hugs right there to the corners. Okay, so I think that's right. We're gonna need to work on these inside faces. So let's convert to edit poly again. Burn that UV mapping in, and then let's select these faces. And let's map those. Okay, we're looking pretty good there. There's definitely some incorrect mapping going on here with this object. That should be an easy box map. That's fine. Let's get this one right. So actually we could have been a lot more careful about this when we were modeling it to make sure that we map everything properly. But here we are doing it manually later. That one's not quite right yet. Let's look at the gizmo here. That'll give us a clue. No. Yes. That little orange gizmo in there. And then we need to turn off real world. That's what it is. And actually, we need to change the tiling on that one too. So let's set that to 0.25, something like that. Let's leave it like that for now. Okay. Now, obviously, we have to work on these materials, but our mapping is basically right now. Looks like our back is wrong, and I think the bottom is wrong too, but I won't make you suffer through any more of this. We'll just get that mapping right. Okay, the problem I was having on that bottom there was actually caused by it being a different material ID, but that's okay. We got it all figured out. So here's our credenza all mapped out, except for the bottom legs. So let's do that real quick. This should be a simple box map down here, at least for these 4 elements. Let's make sure the same texture is applied. Find it in our slate editor. and apply it. Assign material to selection. Make sure we're on ID 1, like so, and then apply a box map. Make sure our gizmo is about the right size. I think on this one we want to be a little higher. Now you see on the end it's not right, so we don't have our alignment right. That's more like it. Convert. Okay, that's good. And then I'll just do each of these legs as well, probably with cylinder maps with the proper alignment, which would be, it looks like we want the X alignment and then fit. Okay, so go through and do that, get all our mapping right. A little more complicated than a simple box map, but that's one kind of way to cheat, do it really quickly, as opposed to unwrapping each face and mapping them all individually. The other way to do it is to make sure they're mapped properly as you're modeling so that you don't have to go back and do all this work. But in the next lecture, we will create a very nice custom texture for this credenza now that it's all mapped very nicely. Okay, one final thing that I should show you on the credenza before we go is that I want, see how this grain is kind of running horizontal on this peg leg here? I want it actually running vertically. So what I'm gonna do, a little trick for that, let's go in the compact editor here. I'm going to take a copy of the wood material and do that with it, and take this material that's on everything here, material 1, and copy it to here. But on this one I'm going to change the sizing and the rotation. So this one's going to be 90 degrees rotated in the W direction, so it'll look like that instead of like that. And then let's scale it like that, so it's scaled up bigger. Okay, so this is going to be for all the verticals, these peg legs and this one. And then once we have that material, all we got to do is change all the verticals to that sub-object mode. So you'll have to make sure that on each map it matches. So we want this at 90 and at 0.5. Of course, there's only 3 maps, so that's easy enough. Last one is the bump map. Make sure to do this on all maps for that texture, or else you'll have some wackiness going on. Okay, so now we have the object ID 1 is the horizontal and object ID 2 is the vertical. So that's just kind of a quick way to make different grain directions if you need them. On this one we do. It's gonna be called, this is gonna be a new texture altogether. Okay, there we go. Once we get all the maps rotated, we can make sure the right material is applied and then make these ones material element number 2. So if you select them now and go to the material IDs, it's number 2, which is perfect because those are the verticals. I want to do the same thing for this vertical right here, and then we're good to go with this. Set that to ID number 2. There we go. On material ID 2, it is working just great. Still some weird mapping going on in here, but I can fix that on my own. You guys get the idea. You guys know what's going on. So that's pretty great. This is ready for, now we're going to adjust the maps to look like what we want for this credenza, and it'll all be mapped on here properly. We just need to come up with some new texture maps and make a nice material for it, and it's going to look great. The only other thing we're going to need to do is make another object or another material in our multi-sub object for the metal handles.